keynotes and workshops. Over to you, Ray.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, good morning. 25 years ago, I was one of you students in the back over there. Probably not as smart as all of you in this room today. I studied at Goa Medical College, which is one of the oldest medical colleges in Asia. I did a master's in clinical biochemistry, and I was listening to all the doctors here and the future doctors that you are going to become. And I run a very successful nutritional practice. And I get very embarrassed when all of those accolades go up because I'm driven by changing people's lives, and so should you. As a medical expert, you have to understand that the subject matter that you are going to specialize in, whatever you do, you don't realize it, but you're sitting in those benches today. The people in the front over here are your teachers. You expect the teachers to teach you. I throw the ball in your court. What are you doing to learn better? Because it is you who are investing in yourself. So without any further ado, this is all of my clients. I've probably worked with some of the best people on the planet because they believe that their body is the best. Now, as a medical doctor, thank you. As a medical doctor, the question is, whatever your field of medicine, be it dermatology, internal medicine, cardiology, neurology, whatever it is, whatever you specialize, I request you to take one thing away for the future. While science drives all of us to have a very focused view, like a microscope, remember sometimes you have to take your eye out of the microscope and look at the world around you. I know this because I have a few doctors on my team, and the focus is so ingrained that you're not willing to step back from your education and ask questions. So today my subject is not about me being an expert. I'm only here to open your eyes about good nutrition, and I thank Dr. Jonas because I'm going to take his contact because I want to work with him now. Why do I want to work with him? He pointed out 4 or 5 things on genetics and nutrition. So whoever you work with, get to the next level. Okay. By the way, if you want this presentation, that's a QR code scan over there. So for all the youngsters in the audience, you QR scan code that. On Instagram, you message me. I will send you the entire presentation. This is what I do. And my presentation is being designed not to give you the scientific study, but point you in the right direction. And each point is hyperlinked to a scientific study, which I expect you to do your reading if it interests you. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, sorry. So, if you read this, I'm going to turn around and read it with you. Thomas Edison, he was an inventor. The doctor of the future will give no more medicine, but interest his patient in the care of the human frame, in the diet and the cause and prevention of disease. This is 1903. Okay? How many of you have heard of ChatGPT? We're in 2023. You have heard of it? How many of you have used it? Now I ask yourself this question. Start thinking as medical students. You have Kopudi, you have brain, you got to put stuff in here. You got Google, you got ChatGPT. What are you going to become in the future? Artificial intelligence among us. Where's this guy going? He's supposed to talk about nutrition in the brain. I'm asking you to start activating your brain. The first part is using your brain. Who will you become? And I always start my lectures not about the subject matter, but how is it going to influence your future? You guys are doing brain research, you're changing lives of people. What do? You change people's lives. Students, what are you going to do? Dr. Arvind, what are you going to do? Ma'am, what are you going to do? We change people's lives in some small way. And if I can inspire you on one thing, I've probably trained around 6,000-7,000 medical professionals because I am a good nutritionist. The one thing that I see in people is greatness when they practice. Not on subject matter expertise, but on human connect. Please understand, the brain is what we are talking about today. You will get older, and in your own body frame, as you get older, your science is going to be ancient. What I learned in 1996 in Goa Medical College, going to the library, and all of you who are about 45 years of age will understand what this means in the library. The youngsters here do not know what that means. All the youngsters here are this. So you've got to know that your patient bedside manner is the most important thing. And the Dean of Goa Medical College used to be my mentor, and she says, Ryan, when the patient walks in, don't be stuck in your notes. Look at the patient walking in. That will give you all the signs in 30 seconds if you're a great practitioner. So don't be stuck in your notes when a patient walks in. When you walk into the room, and I'm sure Dr. Arvind does this all the time, when he walks into that room, he's looking at the patient, talking to the patient, understanding. It's where the brain first starts, from your brain to your patient's brain. Okay, so let me start with the most important system. You all guys as medical guys know that these are all the systems in the human body. My perspective to you is clinical biochemistry, yes, brain performance. Dr. Jonas went into some things and he touched upon a little bit of what I'm going to talk about. This is stuff that caused nightmares for me. I don't know if you get nightmares memorizing this for your biochemistry paper. I have some solace to offer you. Don't worry. Okay, you may be bottom of your class. The important thing is to understand what you're studying. Don't try and memorize it, because 30 years later you will not remember it. But it's important to know what citrate does in a TCA cycle, or what is the measure of diagnostics in the biochemistry, which will help you ask for a test and interpret it tomorrow. Forget about memorization. The world is changing. I know I might be short today for saying this in a teaching college, but the world is going to change. And so you're going to have to rely more on your bedside manner and your ability to join the dots. Remember this statement, ability to join the dots is very important. So I want to start my lecture about sharing something in your own life so that you'll remember this lecture. There's something known as how quickly do cells differentiate in your body. Okay, and if I can step up over here without doing this, can you see over here, let's take white blood cells 2 to 5 days. What is this? Hematopoietic stem cells 2 months, bone osteoblasts 3 months, liver hepatocytes 5 years. What is this one? So the reason people's brains go bad is because they're not taking care of their health. Simple. Yes, it's genetics, I know. But then doctor also mentioned something called as epigenetics. What is epigenetics? The environment on your body. Now, if you understand that fat cells are replaced every 8 years, all other parts of your body replace within 2-3 months. So as a nutritionist, when I change the raw material that goes into your body, if the raw material is correct, to all the plus 40 people who have built your own house over here, right? When you build your own house, either you're buying a flat, when you're negotiating with the builder, you're going in like, what tile did you use? What window did you use? Because you're going to live in that house for the next 20, 30 years. Those of you who are youngsters, when you buy clothing, most of you look at the brand when you're young. You don't look at the quality of the brand. So I want you to understand this one thing, that if the turnover rate of the human body, you're a doctor, that means you're constantly reconstructing our cells. What is the number one thing that your patient needs to focus on? Think about it. The raw material that goes into the human body. And I don't know about how many of you, but I get very stressed out practicing a lot. I've got film stars, I've got celebrities, I've got a 75-member dietitian team. They give me a lot of gray hair. I love to garden. Gardening gives me one perception in science. If my plants are fed correctly, I talk to my plants, I play music to my plants, they don't die in 8 years. They're with me for 16 years instead of 8 years. What I'm trying to communicate to you is epigenetics, okay? So, anyone knows where this is in Bangalore? Yeah, UBCT, most expensive real estate. Most expensive real estate. What's the statement over here? And I know this is a CME, but I want to inspire you to take care of your health first, because in taking care of your health first, you will become the best practitioner in life, because your body is number one and you learn from that perspective. Your body is the most expensive real estate in the world. Think about it, doctors. I may come in here in a luxury vehicle. I will change that in 5 years. You will buy a beautiful house. You will change it maybe in 10 years because you got a nice pension, bonus, PF, whatever. But can you change the human body? I could go to Dr. Jonas and say, here's 1 crore rupees. Can you change my brain? No. So we are understanding how either somebody who's sick has come to us or somebody who's going to break down. Would you agree with me that in the human body, this is the most important real estate, the brain? The gastros will be saying, no. It is the digestive system, because if we shut up, the whole body stops. Okay, so having said this, these are the general statements that you want to look at. Your brain is your best asset, nurture it, balanced diet, quality, blah, 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 blah. Now as medical students, you'll be like, this is not scientific. I request you, whilst you are getting trained in extreme scientific knowledge, also practice with your patients common sense. I've interviewed half a dozen doctors last year to hire them into my company. Common sense is lacking. Because when you meet with a patient doesn't understand scientific study. Patient understands common sense coming out of your mouth. So communicate with common sense. Communicate with science with your peers in this room. Which is why after this, if you ask me any questions, I know nothing. I will go to my chat GPT and say, oh yes, this student asked me this, please give me the answer. It's very important to understand this. So I follow Dr. Daniel Amen on the internet, and he speaks a lot of logic. And there was this scan many years ago that I saw in terms of the brain scan. Okay, so this is the healthy scan of a patient from the top down and from the underside. And this is when there is abuse. 10 years of alcohol, cocaine, opiates, smoking. So it got me thinking. One is, I come here for a lecture today, okay, and I come with flowers. So I come with nutrition, I come with protein, carbs, omega-3, ginkgo biloba, phosphatidylserine, phosphatidylcholine. On the other hand, I come in here not with flowers but with lati, alcohol. What else? What else could be negative? Smoking. Alcohol, smoking. This is common. What else? Would mental stress play a crucial role? Right? So whilst we say, hey, we can do games and stuff like that and train the mind and Sudoku and play with the brain and stimulate the brain, there's also a negative to that. So when I see people coming to my nutritional clinic, now I have a very privileged practice. You being in a teaching college, you will cater to all segments of society. So it's important to have your demographic open for extremely poor people and extremely rich people. So your thinking has to accordingly be the Sherlock Holmes. I hope you all know who Sherlock Holmes is. Okay, I thought I was too old in the generation. Few people have said they know who Sherlock Holmes is. The brain ages. Okay, so with the HODs of all your departments and me now, we need to start doing, Dr. Jonas, we need to start doing more Sudoku puzzles and take more omega-3 with your permission. Because at around 45 is when our decline starts. Hey, you youngsters behind, if you smoke, if you drink and you party late and get less than 8 hours of sleep, there are already sleep studies showing, correct me if I'm wrong, sleep deprivation causes brain vascularity to drop. I know this because I need to make Virat Kohli score centuries, Kenneth Benedict run faster, and I have half a dozen chess champions with me. Now, I don't have the privilege in my clinic to do the scans. The simplest thing we do is we track their sleep and we track their heart rate. The lower their heart rate, the more relaxed they are. The better their sleep is, the faster they perform. And we see that in VO2 max and all. So when I do that with a sports person, when Vijay Shekhar Sharma of Paytm comes in, or Naveen Tiwari of InMobi comes in, they are also, can I make my brain better? Can I make my body better? Because you can't change this body. So please understand, you will get lifestyle people coming to you, and those are called vain people. So if I come to you, I'm like, hey, tell me how my brain can be better. I don't have a problem. That's vanity. And then you have pain people who comes to you, dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. So as doctors, you need to see both ends of the spectrum. But yes, the diseases do accelerate your brain drop. And I was so happy that you mentioned the APOE4 gene. I thought nobody would have talked about this. So I do a lot of speaking, and recently I was asked to talk about omega-3 at another symposium. Now, whilst many in the medical community will say there's not significant proof, I am going to spin your head slightly. How much of scientific proof do you need to do before you prescribe a better diet? It's common sense. If there are molecules that improve, my question back to you is, what is the harm of giving omega-3? So where you need to go into deep dive. I try to make this from the scientific study as easy to understand as possible, okay? So Alzheimer's disease, the APOE4 gene, this is a cholesterol management gene. So you have APOE1, E1, 2, 3, 4. So just imagine this gene, the 4 guy, APOE4, controls how your cholesterol management happens. And what they found out in this study was, when they gave nutrition, DHA supplement was given, they found that the APOE non-carriers absorbed it, but the APOE4 carriers, they did not absorb it. Now as a nutritionist, I was like, hey, I want to prescribe a nutritional supplement. So if everyone comes to my clinic and we have not done the APO gene, as Ryan Fernando, I'm giving them an omega supplement, but it's not helping out. But what I further read in the study was phosphorylated DHA. Do you know where phosphorylated DHA comes from? Fish. So now I'm stuck with a gun between my head. Do I give fish oil supplement, or do I give natural fish in the diet? So medicine, genetics have taken me to the next level to say, could I do the genetic screening? And by the way, I don't do this for Alzheimer's patients. Anybody who comes in is asking me, they want to become like Virat Kohli. They want to be sharp, they want to be strong, they want to be fit. All of us want to become Virat Kohlis in our lives. Yes or no? Right? So then, would you take a fish oil supplement, or would you take natural fish? Now, I know the vegetarians in the audience will say, I'm vegetarian. There's an answer for that. There's vegan DHA also available, extracted from seaweed, because for your general knowledge, the fish in the ocean eat the phytoplankton and the seaweed. So the fish do not get omega-3 from them. They get it from the ocean, from the vegetarian source in the ocean. Now manufacturers manufacture vegan DHA. So this was one of my favorite studies to share with the medical community. DHA makes up the most amount of omega-3 in the brain. Now 60% of the brain is fat. And when normally I meet doctors, everyone says there's not enough of scientific data to prove that maybe omega-3 supplementation will help. We need further studies. I just have one thing to all the medical students. Think, number one. Number two, the world is now understanding the bio-individuality of the human race. I am gluten DNA sensitive. My brother is not. How do you explain that between two individuals in the same family? So the bio-individuality is going to make your medicine more personalized in the future. So the perspective over here is, if 60% of the brain is made up of fat, I have a thought to everybody in this auditorium. Last year, the government dropped the import duty on palm oil. Do you know why? There's a shortage of cooking oil in the country. So prices cannot go up. It's a correct move because the common aam aadmi needs oil to cook, and we cannot have expensive oil that you and I have in our kitchen. But palm oil is saturated, palmitic acid. 60% of my brain is made up of fat. What's happening to the dietary changes in our planet? In our country? I'm only giving this as food of thought. As a doctor, please join the dots. Why is there more depression? Why is there more anxiety? Senior lecturers, you and I never ate outside. I got 10 rupees pocket money. Do you remember that time? We could not eat out. Eating out was once a month. Mama and Papa took us out. It was such a happy thing. Today, what's happening to you youngsters? Every meal is in a cafe, coffee day, Shanti Sagar, this Sagar, that Sagar. 60% brain, fat. Dietary source, fat. I rest my case. I hope you'll all start eating a little healthier. Yes, I have seen personalized bio-individual cases, which is why I make a shitload of money. Because people come to me and I'm not like, there's not conclusive proof that omega-3 works. You know what? I think I need to eat fish. Oh, I can't eat fish, Ryan sir. Okay, we're going to give you a vegan omega-3. How do I know it works? There is a diagnostic test, a fingerprint blood test. I don't know if you know this. I've been invited today by your HOD of Biochemistry. So you better be good in biochemistry. The blood test tests the omega-3 and omega-6 levels in your blood. A simple 2,400 rupee pinprick blood test, which my prediction is in 5 years' time it will be 50 rupees. Prick the patient, omega-6 to omega-3. Omega-6 is inflammatory, omega-3 is non-inflammatory. Right? So, if you come to know that a patient has a ratio, the correct ratio is 3:1, omega-6 is to omega-3. Do you know when I did my test, what was my ratio? 33:1. Do you know what was my son's ratio? 133:1. And teachers were complaining he's not paying attention in school. His brain, his father, big shot nutritionist, thinks he's feeding him correct. But father's not there the whole day to see that what chips he's eating, what junk food he's eating, what servants are giving him. And so then I was like, open your mouth every morning, fish oil, give it to him. In 2 weeks, the teacher called me up, tuition teacher said, sir, Icon is an angel. 3 months later, tested it, it's come down to 17:1. The brain needs nutrition. Our diet is love and culture, not scientific. Medicine is scientific, diet is not scientific. Could you as doctors make diet scientific? That is my sincere request to you. So don't shoot down a nutritional supplement. Don't shoot down a molecule already found in the body, which is DHA and EPA. Are things that can affect you. Do you know what is acrylamide? Microwave your food. Eat food that has been fired beyond 180 degrees Celsius. A toxic chemical is produced from the carbohydrates. Right? You know which one food has the highest acrylamide? We all eat it, even I love it. It's long, slim, French fries. You're better off eating garka potatoes, but the ones which are commercially fried, they heat it at very high temperature. So if you have an air fryer, keep your air fryer under 160 degrees Celsius, not above that. Refined carbs, alcohol, glycation, fish high, aspartame. Are you all watching the internet on aspartame? How many of you all know aspartame is going to be banned by WHO? Raise your hand. Dudes, you guys need to get in with the times. I'm telling you something. Okay, I'm going to share this frankly with you. You may practice in a college today, but artificial intelligence tomorrow will be given by Google and everyone to the rest of the world. Do you think patients are going to turn up to doctors then? It's only when they're dying. You want to enter the field of being aware about what molecules your patients put into their body. So please get aware. You don't have to go to the library and do this. It's there on your phone. So everyone, I've given you my presentation as a scan. So each one of these links are clickable. Okay? So if you click on this, I've given the scientific study on ginkgo biloba, phosphatidylcholine, phosphatidylserine. Now let me share with you the Virat Kohli story. Actually not Virat Kohli, somebody else. Phosphatidyls, I have to remember now, I'm not as good as you guys. I think it's phosphatidylserine. 30 grams is the raw material source of phosphatidylserine in the brain. Right? Do you think our diet contains enough of phosphatidylserine? The food, which are the foods which contain phosphatidylserine? Soy, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and egg yolk. Average intake of 100 grams of the feeds provides 130 milligrams a day. In your turnover rate, as a medical college student or a professor sitting over here, do you think you get enough of raw material source of phosphatidylserine and phosphatidylcholine in your diet? Keeping in mind the farming practices in our country are chemically driven with pesticides and insecticides, so organic is better, but how many of us in this room eat organic? My case in point to the medical community is, look at the ingredients found in nature and in the human body, and could you biohack individually the prescription to your patient using data and science? By the way, the scientific studies are there on how it is. So to give you in the cricket thing, IPL, they're playing. There was a study on phosphatidylcholine levels in Boston Marathon runners. So they measure the Boston Marathoners runners running. Immediately after the marathon, there was a 40% drop in phosphatidylcholine levels. Then they asked them to do the brain waves that Dr. Jonas was talking about. And they found out that the brain couldn't work. Phosphatidylcholine levels went down. I read this study and I was like, hang on, IPL, bat. 2 days later, another one, bat. So by the time 5-6 games are gone, the brain is fatigued. Any of you medical students get brain fatigue? You can't afford it. But what if you could biohack your diet? What if you could biohack your diet to not choose the wrong molecules and to find out where phosphatidylcholine and phosphatidylserine can present? By the way, I'd be very interested to know if in India we're testing in the blood chemistry for levels of phosphatidylserine and phosphatidylcholine. I don't know, but I would love for someone to share with me on Instagram. You've heard of Resveratrol, right? So people talked about, this Mediterranean group of people, Sicily and all, they were drinking glasses of wine, and you would have heard it, and then your friends and all, hey, Dr. Arvind, so we can drink 3 glasses of wine, no? And you're like, but India, we don't drink wine, right? But the study was done on resveratrol in mice, and they found it in anti-aging and stuff like that. So for me, where you talked about the tau proteins and the beta amyloid, as a nutritionist, I only hear beta amyloid. I know it is some garbage on the brain that is being formed. Okay, resveratrol in the study says it interferes with the formation of this. Oh, as Ryan Fernando, can I prescribe a glass of wine? No. Dr. Jonas will say, you can't give alcohol, alcohol shrinks the brain. So what do? Who's the hero? Resveratrol. How do you think you can get resveratrol? Grapes. Now the next problem is I start prescribing grapes. People will start eating too much of grapes, too much of sugar. Are we promoting a more fat gain diabetic version? So nutritional supplementation with resveratrol. Have you heard of a doctor by the name of Dr. David Sinclair? He's the father of, claims to be the father of anti-aging. Dr. David Sinclair. I follow him. Proof is in the pudding of watching his picture. He's 53 years old, he looks under 35 years of age. So he's done the research on the resveratrol and rats and all. Watch his online talks for 2-3 hours, you'll get information on resveratrol. By the way, everyone, I've hyperlinked all the studies for you. So the science part, which I'm not really good at, you can get it. I read the science part and like, how can I give this to Anushka Sharma? If I give this to Anushka Sharma, she will have good brain power to memorize her lines of the movie. Yes, because she came and asked me, can I drink 2-3 glasses of wine? Or somebody else comes and asks me, can I drink wine? Everybody asks me. But I don't want to give wine as a nutritionist. I want to give resveratrol. So keep these points in your head. So we all know that it's required for cognitive function, brain development. You all speed readers. Any medical college student can read very fast, read fast. Again, it's underlined because it's hyperlinked to the study that you want to discover. I want to share a few things. Anxiety and depression, drug users, they gave them 3 grams of omega-3 and in 3 months there was a significant decrease in the symptoms. Study again, if you see bottom here, I've clicked for you to access the study and read it. Very interesting. Anxiety and depression is going through the roof across. Sometimes, you'll hear on the news, so-and-so patient suffered from depression and committed suicide and all. And sometimes I've got a very loose tongue, so please forgive me for it. So I'm reading the newspaper and I'm like looking, and then I'm like, look at my wife and like, Arey, yeah, this fellow committed suicide. Vitamin B12 deficiency, omega-3 deficiency. If you had taken this, you would have been better. My wife's like, how can you be so insensitive? But I would request you as a medical community, when people are showing anxiety and depression, just look at their diet. Look at their diet. Some of the solution is that become the Sherlock Holmes. Prison study, they did it to save cost. To house a prisoner in Australia was nearly $20,000 per prisoner, but the cost of omega-3 supplementation was $1,000. They found out if they gave them omega-3 supplementation, they could reduce the prison sentence because of good behavior, because of the omega-3 supplementation. Now, people say it's not systematic, peer-reviewed, this review, that review. I'm like, if my dad is going through depression and anxiety, Papa, omega-3. Now I'm looking, which is the best omega-3? Natural source, right? And the studies again are over here. I'm going a little bit fast because I don't want to waste the next scientific speaker's time. You don't remember me? Remember this slide for your medical practice. Please take down notes on this one. Hemp seeds, walnut. You want to spend money on a great shirt? Buy a lesser shirt. So I spend more money on my diet and my trainers than the EMI for a luxury vehicle. The human body is the most expensive real estate. Spend on your body and the nutrition. So walnuts are expensive. But research has shown the omega-3 content in walnuts is better than a fish oil capsule. So you can get the 100% RDA from chia seeds, hemp seeds. I've forgotten to add one over here. Very famous in India under the name of methi. Flax seeds is amazing if your gut can tolerate it. Okay. So how many of you all are non-vegetarian in this audience? Okay. For the non-vegetarian audience, can you tell me which fish has the highest omega-3? Keep looking. Mackerel is known as a poor man's fish. Salmon is known as the VIP superstars fish. My father told me, Ryan, please do not publicize this on the internet. In Goa, you will make mackerel become the most expensive fish. Okay? So I am asking you to look in your clinical practice tomorrow, in your hospital, if the possibility it's not vegetarian, can mackerel be one of the fish sources for? It's like 100 grams of fish will give you nearly 10 grams of omega-3. That's massive. I have put people who have come to my clinic who are old and rich on the correct mackerel or salmon. And in 3 months, they're like, sir, my skin is glowing. My sex performance is better at 82. Can you imagine an 82-year-old telling you his sex performance is better because of fish? Okay, this is the key slide which I would love to give you, the medical community. I have linked every food with a scientific study. So, can you just show the link of the study? So, for example, pomegranate's neuroprotective effects against Alzheimer's disease, which are mediated by urolithins. Urolithins are being studied now by doctors as the anti-aging molecule. Where do you get urolithins? You want to prescribe a drug? Eat 100 grams of pomegranate with the seed every day. I know I'm being very passionate about this because The medicine is in our food. The medicine is in our food. Can you go back? So all the secrets, I'm hoping somebody over here becomes a doctor of nutrition. I sincerely do hope in the future you become a doctor of nutrition. This is the key where I make a lot of money. Dr. Jonas, this is my slide. I want to wet it with you. He will give me more. Give me more fuel to get it even better. Because when I have the clinical symptoms with a simple questionnaire or a blood test, this is what we get. This is the Indian RDA. Most of you know about the RDA, which is the recommended dietary allowance. I'm coming to the last slide. I was supposed to do a neuroplasticity exercise. I don't think I'm an expert to do that. But I was just looking up the internet, and apparently you go one hand like this, you go one hand like this. Can you do this with me? So one hand here, one hand here. Okay, interlock your fingers. Okay, and then bring it in like this. Now command your brain to move any one finger. And see if you can make the, say, oh man, I can't move that finger. Have you noticed you're moving another finger? Your brain can be rewired. Your brain can be rewired. So as medical doctors, as medical doctors, you can learn a lot about everything that you do. I'll take questions now. My final slide. You are what you eat. Right? God bless you all, and I hope you have a very successful career. Can you put the first slide? The first slide. No questions mean you're great students. Yes, you have a question.
What about the river fishes which having good amount of omega-3?
Which one?
River fish.
So based on my limited knowledge, I'm not able to find out a source of river fish in any data saying how much of omega-3 it has. And my logic says any fish that has omega-3 smells when you fry it. So your salmon and mackerel, which are sea fish, smell more. So beta, I don't have an answer for you, but if you can find it on the internet, I have not been able to find the omega-3 content in river fish.
What about the mercury poisoning in fish?
See, I get this question about mercury poisoning. Beta, we live in India.
But it is heavy metal.
It is heavy metal. So how I solve this issue is, as all the biochemistry students here know, there is something known as the minerals heavy metal blood test. All my very rich clients, I subject them to that test. In the history of my practice of 6,000 clients, only one patient who lived in a mining area had high mercury levels. So I don't think I should go in that direction where literature is saying fish has mercury. You can test for it if you're aware, because now I'll put this in front of you. You're supposed to take RDA for omega-3. It can come via fish, mackerel. No, don't eat mackerel. It's got mercury. But you have not done the diagnostic test for mercury. So with the assumption that your fish could be tainted. Now I'll throw the question back to you as a medical doctor. Why are you prescribing a drug? Drug has side effect, no? You understand as a doctor the pros and the cons. As a doctor, so when you get into nutrition, understand the pros of vegetarian source, non-vegetarian source of protein. Then what is the omega in that and what is the omega not in that? That is how I look at it in my practice.
What last question?
Okay.
Instead of fish, we can have directly seaweeds only. There are
Yes. Very, very good answer. So for those who are vegetarian, vegan, you get vegan omega-3, you can have chia seed, you can have flax seed, you can have hemp seed, you can have walnut, and a lot of compounds in nature will have some tiny amount of omega-3, which is why we say balanced diet.
What about garlic? That's not included much.
Yeah. Sir, just. Ma'am has a question.
garlic in your diet?
So Dr. Leelavati, I mean garlic, we have seen that the active compound that we look at is allicin, found in garlic. Now allicin has got tremendous properties in terms of the ROS, the free radical damage that happens. So there are no individual papers with enough of data. But when we give garlic, atherosclerosis gets improved. So if you see in ancient Ayurveda practice, garlic has been part of the diet as a prescription. What I recommend to people is, when you take garlic, you need to smash it, you need to let it oxidize, and then put it into your food. The only side effect of garlic is more than 2 or 3 pods of garlic a day for good microbiome, for clearer arteries. I don't have any scientific studies on brain and garlic, or maybe I've not read it, is that your sweat begins to smell after 4 weeks. So that's the only side effect of garlic. But yes, garlic is also a blood thinner, so it helps in that department. Any other questions? Otherwise, can I hand it over? Yes, Dr. Arvind.
So Ryan, what according to you is a balanced diet? Since many of us now across the age of only, just general audience, what according to you is a balanced diet? And also, do you approve synthetic proteins or synthetic supplements apart from all this, which you do not have from dietary allowance?
Okay. So doctor, the doctor's first question is, what is a balanced diet? If you take the premise of a bio-individual person, genetically in nutrigenomics, which is the science of studying how your food interacts with the genetics in the body, there are certain people labeled to be better receptors for a higher protein diet, and certain people with a higher carbohydrate diet will never put on weight. So if I take the bio-individual strategy that I use, the balanced diet is different from person to person. However, assuming that we are in a teaching medical college and the demographic of people coming in cannot do this bio-individuality, my advice is this. Our ancestors ate this much of rice, this much of protein, dal, pulses, legumes, and this much of sabzi. All people today have sedentary lives, all, including poor people. So you need to turn the pyramid on its head. Sabzi needs to become this much, pulses and dal needs to become this much, and grain, all the grain, which is rice, wheat, jowar, barley, millets, which was designed for manual labor. So how many of us are doing manual labor? We don't need that much of grain, so we need this much of grain. I think that is a balanced diet in today's day and age, where the sabzi and non-processed food goes higher, and limit your patient to no more than 2 tablespoons of oil in their entire cooking in the day, which in Indian cuisine is very difficult. I had to change my housekeeping 3 times because of too much of oil in the dishes. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes.
I just want to ask you, what is your opinion on Herbalife?
Opinion? Yes. Yeah. So sorry, I forgot to answer Dr. Arvind's question. What is your take on synthetic nutritional supplements, which comes into from Herbalife? As a nutritionist who worked for companies that sold these products, they are good in the prescription format. You should prescribe it. Nutritionists should prescribe it. Aam aadmi should not take it and just dabao it. But for you to tell the person that there are no side effects or there are side effects will not work in today's day and age of Google. All people are Googling it up. People will come in my room with questions, and from Google they are asking me questions, trying to bowl dusra at me. I can't play it. To answer your question, if the patient does not eat disciplined, could a nutritional supplement be the nutritional convenience for the patient's nutritional indiscipline? Then write a protein powder. Now doc, if you and I go to the gym and we know how to eat correctly a post-workout meal which has 30 grams of protein, I don't take a protein supplement. But do I endorse a protein supplement to a sports player? Yes, because he needs 30 grams of protein which he doesn't have time to digest quickly enough because he has another training 2 hours later. So Aam Aadmi technically needs micronutrition, vitamins, minerals. Protein powders are needed if you feel the macro of the diet is deficient. So chiefly in poor people where the diet is predominantly carbohydrate and you have muscle wasting and other issues and disorders which need bodybuilding protein, the ability to fortify with a synthetic nutritional supplement. Again, synthetic is a little aggressive because, for example, whey protein. Whey protein is coming from where? From milk. You separate casein and milk. Casein is paneer, or it becomes casein powder, or it becomes whey protein powder. Now the question is, human race is not designed to take so much of concentrated protein without carbohydrate, fat and fiber. So what I do, I make both the worlds meet. You take a protein powder, take 10 grams if you're a normal person, 10 grams, mix it up with a vegetable juice. Why not a fruit juice? Or curd? Why not a fruit juice? Why vegetable juice? Sugars. Awesome. You guys are ready to join the world. God bless you. Any more questions?
Yes, one. With respect to neuroplasticity,
Yeah.
is it true that Sachin Tendulkar was a left-handed person and was playing right?
Yes. So if you read his autobiography, he talks about this. Robin Uthappa also was the same when he came in for a nutrition consultation. So a lot of people have, what is ambidextrous, right? They're able to use both parts of the thing. I think today's lecture, my only takeaway and giveaway to you is this. The human body is constructed from raw material. If you're reconstructing your house, invest in the best possible materials for you and your patients, and even those of you who are teaching. Please expand into your classroom the idea that nutrition can play a therapeutic role to your medical practice. God bless you all. Thank you for having me today.